Hey guys, Resolute TV. We did an interview with Logan Dart of Farenheit Cafe for episode 2. It was a great interview. The best part about it for, I guess, the viewers would be how pixelated my face was. You live and you learn with this technology stuff. But what we've decided to do is, because it's such a great interview and because Logan is a really serious business person who's having a tough time, we thought we'd release the entire interview in its whole go, so you can see everything that was said. And anybody up near the Central Coast, get behind Logan. If you're not up at the Central Coast, like, share, jump on his Facebook pages, all that sort of stuff that they do. Farenheit Cafe and 220 Smokehouse in East Gosford. So thanks, guys. All right, guys. So here for this episode, we have Logan. Logan's from Farenheit Cafe on the Central Coast of New South Wales. Logan's been causing a bit of a stir lately with his local authorities, which makes us very happy because I think he's doing the right thing. And we want to create a platform where business owners like Logan can sort of have their say and have a little bit of a platform without being interrupted by biased journalists or people who are playing the game and covering the other side of the story. So, Logan, tell us, one, who you are. Or you've got 2 businesses there. I'd love to know a little bit about them, and then just tell us what's been happening.
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. Nice. Thanks heaps for bringing us on. Obviously, us young fellas wouldn't have met if it wasn't for some of this drama. So, yeah, I've got 2 venues. I've got a small cafe I've had for about 5 years, which is the one we're speaking of in question, Farenheit Cafe, East Gosford, for those that know the area. Otherwise, about an hour north of Sydney. And my other restaurant, the one that I'm sitting at now, is a smokehouse. Again, with the American feel. We're a smokehouse with an American whiskey bar, and we smoke meats out here about 5 minutes apart from each other. Yeah,
lovely. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
And how's business been up until all this other stuff started? How have you been going with it? It's fairly new, fairly exciting.
Yeah, look, I've been in hospitality myself for about 25 years. Worked for the Denver Broncos for about 11 years in the States, opened up a couple of restaurants with them over in Denver, came back here, where I started, managed some restaurants in Sydney, moved up to the coast to slow things down a little bit, and did the cafe about 5 years ago, which, as you understand, being in hospitality, it's a difficult thing to keep anything afloat, especially on a side street back in the day in East Gosford, which is what it was and what it is still to this day. It's a very difficult thing to be able to keep flowing and keep fighting for. But as I went through the years and started to realise that this one's picking up, I was dumb enough to do a second one. I'm just kidding. When it comes down to it, I had the passion, still do, to be able to continue on doing something else. And I just thought, look, I've got the breakfast and the brunch tray down at the cafe. Why not do something with a lunch and a dinner restaurant with alcohol service over here, 5 minutes apart, so I can skedaddle between both, as can the staff. And yeah, both have been going fairly well until things started to happen. And I think that's where the biggest kicker is for me. Is that look, it's happened to everyone. And I last thing I want to do is be the pompous guy that is popping onto a show like yours or chatting to newspapers and saying, ooh, woe is me, you know, my life sucks right now because of COVID-19. Mate, it's happened to everyone and all my friends in the United States. So don't get me wrong. When I made this video because all of our worlds changed 2.5 months ago. In China, obviously, a little bit before that. But for the rest of us on the Western side, I think everything changed, and that's where this video came from, and that's where my absolute disbelief with government was. And when I say government, I'll keep it down to my small local council, but that's where it came from. It just came from what I thought would be a time that kind of brings people together, even though we're socially distancing. It should still bring us together as a core group of people, and I've seen that in the trade of drive-through and takeaway and delivery for this restaurant as well too. It blows my mind how much people have supported us. However, when it comes down to what happened on that actual day, which was a week ago yesterday, just blew my mind. Absolutely blown.
So the general gist I got of the scenario is you obviously with the new rules, there's a lot of you're sort of working with handcuffs, as everybody, particularly in hospitality, is at the moment. They're really working with handcuffs on. So you got a bit entrepreneurial. You've set yourself up a bit of a drive-through type set up at the front of your cafe using witches' hats and local knowledge and local interaction.
Actually, what happened, Dean, was I called a staff meeting on the Sunday night. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was the 22nd of March. And I called all the staff together here at this restaurant and said, look, guys, things are going to change, and we need to change quicker than them because we all know it's coming. We just don't know how bad it was. Remember this? This was right before the PM jumps on, and as of Monday at 12 p.m., everything had changed. So all of a sudden, restaurants were shut down. There was only takeaway and delivery service, and that's where we were sitting. Unfortunately, we'd had the meeting the night before with all the staff. We'd asked them all one by one, are you guys okay with a wage cut? Are you guys okay to go through with this with us? And who wants to travel? Who wants to stay on? And we lost one or two that were just casual girls who I love to death. And again, the promise is still there. Once business comes back together, they can come back on board. But all of my staff just raised their hands and said, we're in. And so we get to the following day, and we've already just turned it into a drive-through. So as we're going through this week, and we're getting support from everyone, and when I say everyone, I'm talking about even local police, the fireys in East Gosford. These guys are coming through our drive-through until, Ranger Sam pops up on the Saturday and says, hey, mate, this is going to stop. And the funniest bit, what a lot of people didn't realize, if you look at the video that I made at that time on the spot, look at the beginning of it. There's a police car parked and was stationary on that street in the corner for 3 hours. And you know how much drama he caused me? 1 large cappuccino with 2 sugars. But the Central Coast Rollers, they can come across the street at 11 o'clock in the morning and say, mate, look, we've got a problem with this. And immediately I walked out the door and I said, you got to make me think, world's a little different now. We're all coming together. I understand I've got a bollard or a sign on the road. However, I was thinking I'll just go based upon what the Prime Minister said, which was do everything in your power to keep your small business open and keep your employees within a job. Yeah, keep them employed. And here's this guy, and he said, mate, if you want to start arguing with me, and I'm not an argumentative type as such. However, I said, mate, don't you think in this day and age right now, you should probably be thinking about, hey, you know what, Logan, I understand. The law's the law, which I get. And maybe we look at, a change of this. And for the time being, and ask you to remove the things from the road that may be of an obstruction. And again, remembering I've got a 6.5 metre lane there, which I am not obstructing traffic. It's a very quiet street. And I said that to him. He said, mate, if you want to have that kind of discussion, we can have that later. But if you want to argue with me right now, I'll fine you for that as well too. And that's where the hair on the back of the neck stands up. And I said, mate, how do I do this for my staff? How do I do this for me when I'm literally trading at 30% revenue right now? And that's only, fingers crossed, that these people keep coming and doing this for me on a daily basis. There's a lot of places to keep supporting.
A loyal customer base is invaluable, and an overreaching council is usually the partner that you don't want, and they have a tendency of trying to stop you from operating at your optimum at the best of times, let alone times like this. So it's a pretty outrageous thing for them to be trying to do. Sorry.
No, go on.
I also got the vibe that it was a Saturday that they were haranguing you. Is that correct, or did I get the wrong end of the stick on that one? Was it Saturday that the council?
Saturday 11.
So my argument
there
would be is that this poor lunatic is out harassing people on taxpayer dollars, probably time and a half, I suspect. So he's on good rates to go out and do more damage to your entrepreneurial spirit while trying to save your business. It's an outrage.
100%. Yeah, but at the same time, if I play devil's advocate and give this guy a shot, what I understood he was trying to do, which is I've been given rules and I've been given laws that I have to make sure other people are adhering to, which I get. And again, now that things have changed a lot and the world that we're living in right now is very different to what it was a few months back, my biggest mind blow is like you got this, my restaurant here, full liquor license. I'm the licensee here. As soon as this epidemic started, liquor licensing and gaming said, don't worry about it. Here's what we're going to do. Open your doors, let it go out the door and support your business. Make sure you take care of the guys that are actually here trying to support your business. We're going to relax our laws right now and we're going to let you guys try and make a little bit of money and we'll work out that vastly grey area that was left behind. And that's truly how I see it, is that there was a vastly grey area left behind. Now, let's move that law over to my cafe. And I do have a sign on the street, and I do understand that. And I said it to him. I said, look, maybe my little bollard here isn't appropriate. However, if liquor and gaming can relax the laws where some guy can go out the door drinking a cocktail and possibly get hit by a car, there's nothing that I've signed off on yet as a licensee that would protect me or the government from that. What the government did was say, hey, let's keep the businesses, keep it going, and we'll worry about that chunk later. Now, with me, the only people that have come against this have said, oh, well, you know what, who's the idiot that puts things on the road? Look, if it was a highway, and I will explain this again, I'm not a retard. I'm not going to put things on the actual highway, start building a new structure and creating a brand new restaurant. Within reason, my little side street, you can't turn right to go out on the highway. You can't turn right to get back onto the main road. It literally is a tiny destination location in East Gosford. And again, I'm going to make it really, really clear. All I ever wanted was for him to possibly come up to me and say, look, things have changed. It's a little bit different. Let me go back to my bosses and I'll get back to you possibly Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, which we'll get into later and see how that happened. And I'll come back to you possibly with a new plan, or until I've spoken to my superiors, I'm not going to make a huge judgment call apart from the fact that I need you to take that down right now. No dramas. Instead of pointing at a little witch's hat that I just bought from Bunnings for $5.95, 6 of them, and warn me that those 6 cones that I bought for $6 are now possibly going to cost me $540. And now all of a sudden the process starts to change again for me too, because then now I'm being threatened with something when I'm trying to do the right thing. And that's where things started to fall apart. That's why I made the video. And again, at the end of the day, so many people have supported, and I realize as well too, so many people have an opinion on this, but isn't this the time? I know so many restaurateurs in Sydney, so many in the United States, so many people are going through the same thing, which is very, very weird in my 40 years of life to see United States and Australia going through the exact same conflict, and it's not war. It is strange and mind-boggling, but I've watched people think outside the box and change their different programs. I mean, I'll plug this for a second. I didn't even think about this, and it's literally not there apart from the fact that I sent it out. But see this guy, here's this is a florist over across the street from us, and to say thank you to us, she said, look, I can't get flowers anymore. I can't keep them in my house. I don't have a cool room. So I've gone into balloons. And this is my thank you to you guys for delivering us food. That's what I mean. And that truly between Dean, you and I, you know, that was just sitting there. I love watching entrepreneurs do. Okay, I can't do this, but my family needs this. So I'm going to do this.
How do I get from A to B? Yeah.
I don't know.
And nowadays it's how do I get to A to B without any level of government interfering and making it harder for me to do that. That's where I see the biggest issue with this problem. They're supposed to help. That's the only purpose the government has, is to support and encourage its population, particularly its entrepreneurial ones. Anything outside of that, as far as I'm concerned, is a negative, and we're not funding them with our tax dollars for them to produce negatives for us.
I'm sure our government rates aren't going to change too much throughout this process. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But when it comes down to what we would expect a leadership or a government, as we call it, to do in this time, is to maybe come across and say, hey, we got your back. We're going to take care of you. We know things have changed. We're terrified as well too about the amount of businesses that may be gone, maybe lost, maybe get sucked up into this hole of what's happening, rather than the guy that wants to walk around and say, hi, I'm so-and-so from Central Coast Council, and your game just ended. Why? Because there were laws here prior to COVID-19, and I'm here to uphold them.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a ridiculous notion. The whole thing's outrageous, and I mean, he needs to give himself an uppercut, as they say. And to be perfectly honest, I actually have a lot of admiration for you to stand up to this whole thing. It takes a big set of kahunas. And that's something that we need more of in business and in the citizenry of Australia at the moment, because we're losing freedoms hand over fist. And I have a sneaking suspicion that certain elements of that culture are going to really enjoy clamping down on people. Some people like going up to people like yourself and saying, you can't, you're a naughty boy, you're not following my rules. And I take great exception to that. So where's it all at now, mate? What was the next step? Have you resolved any of it? Have they come to the party? Have they sort of shit bricks a little bit based on the fact that you've got a bit of media traction out of it?
Look, in the first day, the first afternoon blew my mind how many people kind of jumped on it, because all we did was just send it out from my cafe's Facebook page and basically just ask other restaurants around the area and other people to share it. which was great because obviously it did start hitting people, and a lot of people started hitting up Central Coast Council and our local MP and what have you. And I've spoken to a couple of them along the way. However, all I was given was basically a redirect to the head of Rangers at Central Coast Council, who gave us a call, and all of a sudden I was matey on the phone. Hello, matey. How are you, matey? You well? And I said, mate, I was. But matey's not doing so well right now, hence the video. So we're just trying to think of, the possibilities of what we can do to at least compromise, to at least put something together, because I'm one of a billion. And that's the point. Yeah. It's not a plug for me to get somebody to come down and buy a skim milk cappuccino, or perhaps a decaf half-strength almond milk latte, if that's what you like. I mean, this wasn't about our business as much as it was, whoa, if this is happening within weeks of a shutdown, and my staff who literally rely upon the little bit of money that I'm bringing in, you're a restaurateur, you understand this industry. For me to be doing $10,000 odd a week at that cafe after 5 years, one, I wasn't doing $10,000 like every week to those 5 years. It cost me a lot of money to get to there. So now to get to 3,000, it's only by the grace of the government, by saying, hey, look, we're going to give you something that makes me keep going and makes me keep the staff employed, because otherwise it would be just a game of survival on my own and saying, can't have anyone. I'm just going to sit there terrified behind my door, lock it, and hope to God that someone comes and saves me. But I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that says, no, bugger it. Until I hear otherwise, we're going to do everything in our power. If it includes jumping off the roof, okay, just kidding. But if it includes some things that may have seemed absolutely outrageous prior to this time, good, because that's exactly what I set out to do. I want to be a leader in this industry. And like I said to the boys yesterday, I got a little bit frustrated about a couple of things that I had noticed, and we were running out of some of the delivery items I had. And I said, you know what, guys, this is no time for us to get weak and just say, oh, yeah, well, we didn't have it. We've never done delivery before. BS, mate. As far as I'm concerned, BS. We have more time on our hands to be better at what we do. And if we're going to be a drive-through, or we're going to be takeaway, or we're going to be delivery, we're going to be the freaking best at all three of them. And every person that walks in this store, even if it's for 2 minutes, will look at us and go, Jesus Christ, there's some boys giving it a crack. And that's what I want to do. And each one of the people that have worked with me have done that. And so when you watch somebody walk over to you, whether they're sent there from competition or whether they're sent there just by the glee of themselves to find something to do on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, here's what I put. Here's the biggest kick up. And this is what I throw back at anyone that argues my point on that. Just that. Whether you like me or not, mate, I'm an anchovy. People either want heaps of me on their salad or they just vomit at the side of one, right? But with this guy, that's what I said to him. I said, look, if he's got enough time at 10:45, 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning to come to my restaurant to threaten me with multiple fines, don't you think he and his compadres have enough time to individually go around to each restaurant, each cafe, and individually select the ones that they believe could maybe have an amendment to a law or possibly change something different? And you know, it is safe. I mean, like I said, if I'm the clown on the Harbour Bridge trying to erect a new coffee shop in lane 4, maybe a problem. But if I'm the guy on a side street in East Gosford trying to service people that only came there to see me or go to the chemist, don't you think maybe you could also help out a little bit more? Like I said, everyone's scenario is different. And if there's enough Central Coast Rangers to pop out and cause a stir with me, maybe there's enough of you to go around and start looking at each business saying, hey, what can we do to help your business, rather than pull the last little string out of you or the last little bit of lifeblood. That's kind of where I'm heading with it, Dean.
It's upsetting, mate. As a general rule, I don't think there's a bureaucrat on the planet that can't take one problem and complicate it. I don't know that they solve very many.
Right.
But look, mate, I appreciate you coming on for this little bit here. I'm going to recommend to all of our viewers, and as our viewership grows, that they sort of support you and get behind you on this. I'll also recommend everybody write a letter to the Central Coast Council, give them a bit of a kick in the pants. And I've also mentioned it too.
How about this? You get them to write to their own councils. You get them to help out in the areas that they're in, because you didn't call me because I'm on the Central Coast, mate. You got in contact with me because you care about all Australians, as far as I'm concerned. You and I chatted a little bit over this before I came on, because I said it probably wasn't something I'd like to do. But once I listened to your mentality and why you're doing even your show here, I respect it, mate. And like I said, that I didn't like how the news first came down and promised me a bunch of time, and all they did was put on the little bit of me that said, yeah, I don't have a permit, which I don't. Try and get a permit right now. Try and get through to council on Monday morning. You can't. So, no, I didn't have a permit. But again, thinking outside the box, maybe we talk about putting some cones out on the road instead of maybe a bollard. Maybe we talk about the distancing we could make. I've never even heard of social distancing in my 40 years until this year. But we've worked that out. I mean, I'm wearing gloves just
that's right.
A little bit creepy,
100%.
but I've got them on. So,
I think
mate,
very fashionable, mate. Very fashionable.
I implore you guys and any of your listeners to maybe look at the surrounding businesses they have. I have appreciated the amount of time that we've got down to this, but at the end of the day, I'm still one of those that are kicking. I've got a lot of friends in Sydney that are gone. They don't have a business anymore. I just walked across the street before I was talking to you and just looked at a little jeweler who's been across the street from us here for 17 years and now has a closed sign on his door and looking for a new premise. I mean, the stuff has upset and uprooted so many businesses. And again, this isn't so much me having a go about, it is a little bit. I am having a go because I think that at this time, when we pay something for a governing body to take care of us, there is a time where that governing body needs to act and say, it's about time we come through for you. I think
that's right. 100%, mate. And look, I've always looked at it, and there's plenty of philosophers that I've come to a lot of these conclusions from, and that is that if the population's afraid of its leaders, its politicians, then we have a version of tyranny. And if the politicians and the leaders are scared of its population, then what we have is a great deal of liberty. And I'm certainly an advocate for a lot more liberty than what we currently have. So, look, mate, I appreciate your time. I know you've got to get back to work. I've got to go and do a few other jobs as well. I appreciate your time. Everybody get on and support Logan and check all of his social medias and everything. I'll share them around with the Resolute TV stuff. And, mate, hopefully we can talk again soon. Maybe we'll get together in another 3-4 weeks and see if anything's changed.
Sounds fantastic, Dean. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you have enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe to Resolute TV and click the bell, and be sure to subscribe and to click on all of our guests today. They have lots to offer, and we will see you next time on Resolute TV. Thanks for watching, guys.